Well, because we have many people here with big shoulders and so forth, but you know, and we got a lot of sand and a berg. Oh, bad punning.
And that's the school you went to.
And I went to Carl Sandwich High School.
Oh, you gotta love that, you know. Well, that must be the intro I'm supposed to give for Janet from Chicago. Awesome.
Thank you, darling.
My pleasure.
I'm sorry, I'm a Chicago native. Hi there. I'm going to make this a little bit taller for me. Us tall folks in Chicago. Hi, I thought I would share with you. This is instead of place. Is the microphone working? Thank you. Is it all working? Yay, finally. Hi. Yes, I'm a Chicagoan, but in coming to Austin, I have just recently released 2 books of poetry that I have written here, and one of them is stuff I've done at shows. This book is called Pheromemes, collection of show poems. And no, pheromemes is not a word, but if you can be attracted to somebody's pheromones, maybe you might be attracted to my memes or my words or my ideas. So this is a collection. So I was just going to read 3 pieces from past shows that I've had here in Austin, and I hope you like them, and I hope I can see in this awesome, phenomenal light. This one is called Every Soul Celebrates. A poet once described Saturn mythology. Saturn, it says, devours its children. Yes, it's true. I know it. But I never paid attention to that mythology. I love a gas giant planet with moons like our Earth in its creation. A celestial giant with some moons that could actually come together and form a beautiful nebulous ring sheet around the planet. Because even though science isn't mythology, it is truly beautiful. I've always thought that. Until I heard about the stories of Saturnalia, where when you think of a celebration, you might think of, like, say, Mardi Gras or New Year's ball dropping in New York City, or you might even think of the decadence of Brazil's Carnival. But none of those match in the chance for people to get together, from rich to slaves, and be treated as equals to celebrate the crops and share the abundance all of the year. Because during Saturnalia, an ancient Roman festival honored Saturn, a deity, a god of agriculture, liberty, and time. So it only seemed fitting at this annual celebration that during the dinner time, all slaves would be served first. And they would be sitting at the head of the table, like they were the masters of the evening. It was a time for celebrating prosperity and after the crops were good. And because Saturnalia was a holiday, businesses and governments' offices were all closed, so no wars could be declared. On this day, Roman poet Catullus called Saturnalia the best of days, and the Augustan poet Horace called this supreme and decadent liberty a December liberty, a leisure free of grievances and grievous ambitions. And at the end of the year, as it always approaches, isn't that what we're all looking for? We've worked for so long, we've accomplished so much. Maybe now we should remind ourselves that sometimes we have to stop it up and switch it up a bit. Because if Saturn rules agriculture, liberation, and time, let's take this time to liberate ourselves and celebrate our fortunes in the future with each and every soul that we see. Thank you. I would share with you, since I just did an end of the year one, I will do 2 from a springtime show for you. This first one is called, I think I'll do this one. Aha! Entering the War Room. It was one spring when we were all in college, and I was taking a political science class, and it was really easy. I was an engineer, so it was just like not really difficult to go through. But it was cool that this classroom only had one giant oval table, and all the students would all sit together. I was in this class with a few of my friends, and we'd pass notes with each other every once in a while when we were entering the war room, and we would all be at this giant table. Well, one day, we realized, I don't know what the actual passage of was about at first, but while we were there, the TA was talking, and the three of us passed a note while paying attention in class. And after the bell rang, this elective, the TA asked the three of us to actually stay. And when the last student left the room, when that door closed, the TA sounded like some sort of a general putting on his most evil face and lambasting us and screaming at us for there, all because we should never pass notes. Well, it was like this. We can't actually be this way in this class, and we rushed. And as the students were able to go, everybody else was rushing to get their books into their bags and rush out the door out of that war room. But me, I took my time. I deliberately placed my books into my bag one at a time. Took time zipping up my bag and putting a bag over my shoulders long enough for my friends that they'll be already gone, long gone. And before I just started to walk to the door, and I just said to the TA, while he was still fuming, I just said, "Have a nice day." And then I walked out the door. In the next weeks of class, I made a point to raise my hand when he asked a question, and once I even corrected him, just because I was passing notes, I knew what I was doing there in this elective, and besides, it was spring. I could handle the war room and still enjoy the beautiful spring days. Thank you. One more that talks about springtime stuff for you, and thank you very much for listening. This one is called Job That Only Pays the Bills. I told my boyfriend on a spring day that I was quitting my job as this art director. I mean, being this art director, supervising maybe 8 people. I designed 2 magazines. I mean, this was a big thing that I was quitting my job, this well-paying job. But it only paid the bills and didn't make me happy. So when the big day came, I opened the window to my 32-story corner office, and I asked my supervisor to come into my office, and that was when the wind whistled and tunneled through the loop in Chicago on these downtown streets. And it was always a breathtaking view, seeing skyscrapers in the spring. But my supervisor sat down at my desk. Just before I could break the news, though, there was a knock at my door. When I said to come in, the secretary walked in with a dozen roses in a vase. It was delivered to me. I said, "Thank you," and she closed the door, and then I looked at my supervisor. But looking at the roses, he already knew the news. I didn't know I'd get roses. It was kind of like a way to be, it kind of blew my chance of actually telling my supervisor that I was quitting my job. But it was kind of cool to get roses on a spring day for putting in my 2-week notice. And at the same time, I couldn't think of a better reason to get roses. It was like icing on my liberation cake. Thank you, thank you, thank you.